Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Army Public School PME Resource Network. We start our today's subject English language. Please subscribe this page and click on bell icon. In our today's subject, we are going to discuss topic perfect tenses in both forms active and passive voice. Active and passive voice in perfect tenses. Active voice, we use an active tense when we know and when we want to say who did the action. Basically, we have the information who is doing the action, what is the subject. While in the passive voice, we use the passive tense when we don't know or it is not obvious who did the action. There are the many rules and the regulations which we have to follow while changing the active voice into the passive voice in perfect tenses. In this case, we shall only discuss about the perfect tenses, not all of the tenses. There are the three basic rules while changing the active into passive voice. Object will be changed into subject and the subject will be changed into object. There will be the use of third form of verb. Pronouns will be changed accordingly. We into us, he into him, she into her, and in the same way, all of the other pronouns will be changed accordingly. Present perfect simple tense. In the active voice form, I shall tell you the arrangement which you have to follow while you are writing a single sentence. In the start of the sentence, there will be the use of the subject, that is, who is doing the action. After that, auxiliary verb, the helping verb, has and have. Along with that, the past participle, that is the third form of the verb in both positive and the negative sentences. I would like to read an example of this one that I have written it. China hasn't forgotten what it gained from so many years of Ming rule. Then come towards the next example. In the interrogative sentences, the has and have will be used in the start of the sentence. After that, there will be the use of subject, then past participle, that is the third form of the verb. Has Jerry just received the check in time? Now you can observe in both of the sentences the same format is followed. China hasn't forgotten what it gained from so many years of Ming rule. China is acting as a subject, then there is the use of has, then there is the use of the past participle, that is the third form of the verb forgotten. While that is in the interrogative sentence, there is the use of has in the start, then Jerry, it is acting as a subject, and after that there is the use of the received word that is acting as the past participle, third form of the verb. Then come towards the present perfect tense in the passive voice form. In the same way, the subject will be used in the start of the sentence, and after that there will be the use of has and have been instead of has and have as in the active voice, which you have done it on the previous page, plus past participle, that is the third form of the verb in the positive and the negative sentences. While that is in the interrogative sentences, has and have will be used in the start of the sentence. After that, there will be the place of the subject and then been, and after that, there is the use of past participle in the interrogative sentences. The examples are given. For example, my window has been broken by him. My window is acting as a subject, while that after that there is the use of has been, and then broken it is acting as a third form of the verb. In the interrogative example, has, it is used in the start of the sentence. After that, there is the placement of the subject, the corona patient. Then there is the use of the been before the verb accepted, the third form of the verb. And now you have understood that in the present perfect tense, in the active voice, there will be the use of has and have along with the third form of the verb, if I shall simplify it. While that is in the present perfect tense, in the passive voice, there will be the use of has and have been along with the third form of the verb. Then come towards the next category, past perfect tense. In the active voice, the subject will be in the start and there will be the use of had. It is understood that we are talking about the past, so that's why there will be the use of had instead of the has and have that has always been used in the present tenses, in the present sentences as well as. For example, subject, then come towards the had, then after that there will be the use of third form of the verb past participle in the positive and negative sentences. In interrogative sentences, had will be used in the start of the sentence, then you will put the subject, and after that there will be the use of the past participle in the interrogative sentences. I would like to tell you the examples for that. In the first case, for the positive and the negative sentences, my aunt had cooked food for me. My aunt, it is acting as a subject who is doing the action. While that is, after that there is the use of had, then past participle. Had he fallen asleep before 8 o'clock? Had, it will be used in the start of the sentence. After that, the subject, and then you will talk about the fallen, that is the past participle, third form of the verb. Then come towards the past perfect tense, passive voice. In the start of the sentence, there will be the use of the subject, but you will use the had been instead of the had that has been used in the active voice. In the passive voice, there will be the use of had been along with the third form of the verb past participle in both positive and negative sentences. While that is in interrogative sentences, had will be used in the start of the sentence and there will be the use of subject after that, then there will be the place of been, and after that past participle in the interrogative sentences. The examples I would like to tell you: the city had been defended by the brave men. The city, it is acting as a subject, after that had been used and then past participle. Had 5 banks been robbed by those prisoners? Had, it is taking the place in the start of the sentence, after that subject. 5 banks, basically 5 is acting as an adjective, banks noun, so that's why it is a banks, it is acting as a subject, been robbed by the prisoners. We would like to do the exercise related to these present perfect tense and the past perfect tense. I would like to revise it again to tell you the difference between the present perfect tense and the past perfect tense again. Past perfect tense, there is the use of has and have along with the third form of the verb. And while in the active voice, while in the passive voice, in the present perfect tense, there will be the use of has been along with the third form of the verb. While that is in the past perfect tense, there will be the use of had along with the third form of the verb in active voice. While that is in the past perfect tense, in the passive voice case, you have to use had been along with the third form of the verb. Now we are going towards the exercise that is present on the textbook page number 20. Complete the sentences, use the passive present perfect or the past perfect form of the words in brackets. 3 soldiers give a special award by the president this morning. Basically, you can imagine that this is the indirect work which has been done by the soldiers. So that's why it is obvious that it is the passive sentence. And you will write it, 3 soldiers have been given a special award by the president this morning. Then number 2 sentence, the wall built many years before the city. Basically, in this sentence, there is again the use of passive voice because the work has been done by the wall indirectly. So you will say the wall had been built many years before the city. Basically, they are talking about the far past, so that's why you will put here the past perfect tense, not the present perfect tense, but in passive voice. Number 3, football play in this stadium since 1932. Whenever there is the use of the since and the for and they are mentioning about the some time period, you will write that there will be the use of the passive form. Football has been played in this stadium since 1932. If you will write football had been played in this stadium since 1932, it's also all right. Come towards the number 4 point. When we got home, we saw that the window break. The window is not broken by itself. So you have to use the passive form in this case. When we got home, we saw that the window had been broken. And whenever in a single sentence, when there is the use of past indefinite in a single sentence, in the other sentence there will always the use of the past perfect tense. So that's why we are using here the past perfect tense in the passive form, had been broken. Number 5. My grandfather just tell not to eat too much salt by his doctor. My grandfather has been told by the doctor. So it's obvious that it is the passive form because the doctor has advised him. My grandfather has just been told not to eat too much salt by his doctor. Number 6. All the flowers in the garden pick. This is also again the indirect form. It is not the direct work which has been done by any person. All the flowers in the garden have been picked.